Hi, this is Mike making my video to add to my collection. Today is the 19th of July, 2026, and it's 8:36 p.m. Yeah, I'm making this video to kind of condense and coalesce or whatever, basically uh, distill all my thoughts into one clear and concise thought system that I have. When you think about it, you feel or you figure out that everything is an illusion, and that the past is a is an illusion, and the future's isn't here yet, so that doesn't exist. The past no longer exists, and it's just all an illusion. And the present moment that we have is what we have right now. And there's people that try to escape the present moment, and they're always trying to reach towards the future. But what people fail to realize is that we have to exhaust all the possibilities in our previous uh, experience, and that pretty much means that we have to exhaust everything, and then basically spend everything, and then go through everything, and then there's certain things, certain trials and tribulations that we have to go through yet. And it's like, in order for the future to manifest, the present moment has to be squashed. And you have to deal with this present moment in the moment that you're in. And, everything, I hold knowledge very uh, tightly. I consider it very precious. And, I finally came to the conclusion that, really essentially everything's a mirror reflection of me. And everybody else is a non playable character. And I'm the only character in the game, the only player in a one player game. So, with that being said, uh, everything's a mirror reflection of me and my world. And, it's like, with all that going on, you find out that it's actually a very lonely world that we live in. It's a lonely life. If you consider it, when you get older, you start to realize that, and you start to experience that, and you start to go through that, and you start to feel the effects of old age and being alone. I spend a lot of time by myself, and I do things, to combat that. I don't necessarily like being around a lot of people, and I just as soon stay by myself. So, with all those things I've been talking about, it's like, it's just consciousness is all we have. That's all there is consciousness living through me, and me expressing myself, and consciousness expressing itself through me. And then likewise everybody else. So a number is only relative to another number. So, with all that going on, you find out that you're really quite alone, and it's just consciousness that does live. And even though at some point in time my physical body is going to be gone, and my etheric body is going to be here, but eventually that's going to disappear. Uh, So with those two things being gone, what's left is just your thoughts, your mind, and your basically your thoughts. And but I don't want to be disembodied, you know, a disembodied spirit or body. And I'm just starting to come to the conclusion that it's a very lonely life that I live, and consciousness is all there is. So, uh, I got kids, I got grandkids, and I got an ex-wife, and I don't know how much longer she's going to be around, but she'll probably be gone pretty soon. She doesn't look really good, and she looks like she's doing really bad. I got a brother, and he seems like he's doing okay with what he has. He's got a place to live, and he's got a job, and with what's going on with everybody, eventually the numbers are going to thin out, and I got to start making new friends. I've got like four people I talk to, and two of those people, one person in particular is doing really bad, and the other guy, uh, he's doing bad as well. But I deal with him and I talk to him. But you really think about it. It's a lonely life that we live, and sooner or later, my number is going to come up, and it's my time to go is going to happen. And that seems to me encroaching upon me every day, closer and closer. But I'm 55 or 56, and I'll be 57 in several months. So once I hit 60, then it's probably going to be even more, uh, uh, even more of a hermit lifestyle that I'll have. I'm kind of there now, but I do have some limited interaction with people. But for the most part, I don't like being around people. They always try to figure out some way or another to fuck your life up. So I decided to stay away from them. So anyway, I got some good things in life, though. I'm thankful for what I do have. I got my holographic box, my projector. I got a projector behind me, a 7D, and I've got virtual reality, and I got my night vision equipment. I like my night vision stuff, and it is what it is. You only live one time, and that's really what this life is all about: is experiencing things. Going places, doing things, and being certain actors in the game of life, and experiencing things and having things too. And there's going to be a point in time, when I have fewer and fewer items, and maybe I'll be tightening my belt, and I'll be living a more of a modest, rational, realistic, and logical lifestyle. And I'll be doing all that, and then uh, I'm cutting corners every turn I go on, and I'm always trying to figure out ways to live cheaper. So anyway, I'll probably end up posting this. I imagine I will. But yeah, it's just consciousness. That's all there is. Everything exists on the inside of my head. Whether that be like my head being a lot larger, as large as the universe. If somebody can make the statement that we're all the same and we're all connected, well, then the universe and me are connected. So I live within the universe, so the universe lives within me. So the macrocosm and the microcosm, that line has been erased. And more or less, it's the same thing. So it's like a fractal. I'll be the smallest part of the fractal, and then you keep going up from here. And you got the stars in the sky, and you got the neurons in your head, and you got maybe the whole universe is just part of something much larger than me. But I'm not completely sure on that. I don't know how to go about saying that. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's just the universe and I are one. The inside becomes like the outside, the upper becomes like the lower. The male and female energies, the male is no longer the male, the female is no longer the female. So you're androgynous, and you basically get to the point where, as much as it is to be said that, people try to avoid having a nervous breakdown, and they're always trying to avoid it and they're running away from it. But the thing is you have a nervous breakdown. And that's really, that nervous breakdown is a breakthrough. And, as much as they call it mental illness, or it's really not, it's just more or less what it is. It opens your mind to things that most people will never, ever, ever get to touch. So, with that, I'm very blessed. It's just there's a price to pay for it. And I'm 57, so it's to be expected. I'm kind of sick, and I'm going through side effects, and I'm going through problems with my body and my mind. But that's to be expected. I'm 57, and I outlived my mom, and my dad. He outlived me, but I might outlive him. But you never really die. You just become a spirit, and then you become the flesh, and then you become the spirit and the flesh all over again. It just never seems to end. But I guess what I could say is that the universe won't let you die, unless, of course, it's meant to be. So, I think there's some truth in that. There's some of us that don't deserve to live, I guess, and then there's some of us that do. I'm not sure exactly how that works and how the universe judges it, i.e., God. But I will say this, though, that, it just goes in a cycle and it keeps going on and on and on. And there are some people that are so messed up, that maybe they don't want to exist anymore. Maybe they want to restart over and get recycled. I'm sure that happens. So, is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Yes. But then again, even this world's an illusion, so those worlds are illusions as well. This heaven and the one above it will pass away, but he's talking about this physical world, and the heaven above it will pass away, the etherical world. But then, even like hell disappears, and so does heaven. So it is what it is, and I've just come to the conclusion that 57 years of life, I've done everything I wanted to do, became everything I wanted to become, and I've had everything I wanted to have. So there really isn't too many more things left. I got a bucket list, and it's actually getting pretty small. I think I completed my bucket list, to be honest with you. But there might be a few other things entailed in that. But anyway, that's all I really have to say. Uh, but yeah, I'm thankful